It's your Spring Maiden. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which direction I want to go. I feel like this is something that I'm gonna really have to seriously go on Grim Tools and just look for myself. Just look at these different constellations. And the nice thing about Grim Tools is that it has a little box down here that you can type in whatever you need to, and it'll actually search through all the different stars. So if, like, for instance, I wanted to just look up stuff that gave me +2 or bonuses to pets, I could just type in the word pets, and it would highlight every single star that provided a bonus. So I think I'm going to do that. I know it's probably a big mistake for me not to actually spend my 1 devotion point right now to get some kind of bonus, but whatever. I'm just gonna hold off. I feel like that's just the smarter thing to do right now. And besides, if I held off anyways, the next time that we come and play this game, I will have looked up whether or not that one NPC that redoes your stuff, if that's actually the real person. And you know, it wasn't like I originally suspected, where it just felt like the way it was worded sounded like it was basically that you could trade skill points and devotion points for money. But maybe I was just being stupid and read it wrong for like the umpteenth time. And that's something that I just want to verify before I actually utilize the skills. And I do have to say, I'll feel like a total asshole if that NPC has been there the entire time, and I've been sitting there talking about, like, when we get access to that NPC. And everybody that really knows what's up just kind of rolls their eyes and be like, dude, you already have access. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get lucky. I think I've just become previously really lucky and have found better optimal gear.
That skill's not ready.
Hey, need to redo my skeletons. Hello. One thing I'm really trying not to do is overcast my totem, because that thing actually lasts for a pretty long time. But my problem is that the icon, this guy, it just gets lost in the fray when there's like a million monsters, especially when you get the spawns of zombies and they just start coming up out of the ground. It just gets lost in the sauce. So it's clear to me that having went this way, it would basically probably hit this corner, came up here, and then these two rooms connect, and then it just connects up here. So instead of like completely exploring the cave portion, I'm gonna backtrack, because I don't think that it's gonna connect magically, like, I don't know, somewhere up here or something. So instead of having to backtrack a great distance, if I was to continue to explore exploring the cave, I think we're just gonna get done with this now. Ooh, got a little bit of lag there. I can really see this build becoming incredibly tedious later on in the game. By the way, the amount of micro that that's going to be required. It's going to be even harder because we're playing a hardcore character, and instead of having like the most optimized skill build up and everything else and gear and everything else, everything is going to be completely different because we need to start working on survivability. Like, that absolutely has to be prioritized. And I really have to constantly remind myself of that. And the reason why I'm saying that, and the reason why I'm bringing it up, is because some of these, like, little trash monsters, I think, like for instance, the fire aura zombie things, like one of them, just one attack was enough to do like at least maybe not quite a quarter of my life, but close to it. And that's crazy. If that little monster did that much damage, how much do you think the bosses are going to do? And I don't want to be in a position where I'm like getting one-shotted to death.
That skill's not ready.
I think the biggest thing about this build that you really have to look out for is just your ability to kite. It's really just about your placement.
I can't carry anymore.
Positioning. And the greatest detriment to your ability to evade and to kite and juke around and everything is going to be your movement speed. Or I think there's another skill in this game. It's labeled as all speed, if I'm not mistaken, which affects everything. Nice. So here we go. We have a straight up, somewhat of a gear upgrade. It's more of a lateral move than anything. This will give me more physique. It'll take away my... Well, I don't know if this is actually better. It's only a +7 increase to flat physique. I do like the 9% pierce resistance, and then just the +20 flat spirit is really nice. So maybe that's not an upgrade. I was going to say, it's not really an upgrade. It's more like a lateral move, but we should go back to town. Kind of wondering when I'm going to hit that point in the game.
Come see what's left of my wares.
Where buying an item from a vendor just pretty much like wipes out all of your money, your entire purse. Haven't quite reached it yet. Oh, nice. First time I actually seen that icon. I haven't quite reached it yet, but I think I'm kind of getting close, if that's even a thing. Necromancer's Badge of the Void. +1 to Bone Harvest. Well, I'm not using Bone Harvest. The metal that I have right now is ridiculous. It's awesome. It's precisely what I want. So let's just go ahead and sell everything. Wait. Oh, it's a pendant. See, sometimes the icons, like, look at this icon here. Doesn't it kind of remotely look like this icon? Kind of, sort of?
Put it to good use.
There's a lot of times when I'm going to the vendor and looking in that specific tab, and I see that icon, I'm like, oh my god, yes, I get to actually, fill that out.
Got something you it stashed?
Let's see here. Got another chilled steel, frozen heart. I think these are just a bunch of... So the soul shard, even though it's technically not a rare component. Okay, we just got a ectoplasm. That's very nice. You know what? Screw it. Unless it says it's a rare component, I'm just gonna keep it in my inventory, so that way I can create stacks.
I'll hold on to that for you.
Sardina. Okay, I need to check this out. I'm sick of speculating. Okay, Grim Dawn, Sardina. Tell me what happens to Sardina. Spirit guides allow you to undo your skill point selections on the skill tree, allowing you to reallocate them. You cannot, however, remove points invested in your mastery level. Okay, that's really nice to know. In addition, you cannot remove the last point from a skill that has any modifiers with points invested in them. You cannot remove the last point from a skill that has any modifiers with points invested in them? Oh, I think that it's like Grasping Vines has that upgrade skill. I'm thinking what it's saying is that, let's say I have 20 points into the upgrade skill, and then I have 2 points into Grasping Vines itself. It's saying that because I have the upgraded skill, and it requires the original skill to actually, you know, use the upgrade, that you couldn't just remove the last skill point into the actual base skill itself. I think that's what it means. Spirit guides also allow the refunding of devotion points. So that is indeed the respect person. I just been stupid this entire time. Stupid, stupid, stupid.
What troubles you?
Everything I just described, that's what troubles me. Okay, so let's remove this crossroads. I don't need it. So Ironbit's cost was 25. Okay, was that it? Is that all I needed to do?
Stay strong.
Yeah, totally. Well, fabulous. Now that I have 2 skill points, that means I can actually go either stick with, what is this called, Ascendant? I can either stick with Ascendant, or we can go into Crossroads and then choose, you know, whatever corresponding constellation. So, you know, instead of actually going on Grim Tools, I'm just going to take a second here, because there are a couple here that I remember that people talked about. Okay, so let's look at Raven, or I mean, excuse me, Falcon. Physical damage, cunning, Falcon swoop. Okay, so I guess if I really wanted to do it, the devouring the one skill with the resistance shred, like that would be cool to attach to it, but the entire constellation kind of just totally doesn't work for us. No. Defensive ability, that'd be interesting. Armor. Targo's hammer. So you have to keep in mind, you don't have to finish a constellation. Like, I could just totally invest a couple skill points and just go up to, like, here, and not go all the way up to the very end. But I kind of think that's stupid to do that, because even though you are using 2 more devotion points to get up to here, you still are going to have all those affinities. So, I don't know. So 33% chance on block, that's not good for us because we are not going to get into the fray where I think we're going to utilize blocking skills. It's damage. No. Harpy. So all these constellations that are just doing damage, or improving our damage. I don't want it. I want nothing to do with them. It's totally inappropriate for our build. But here we go, Toad. Bonus to pets. So there's damage. So this would give us 60 flat health and some life leech, basically. And then 4% damage, attack damage to my pets. Awesome. Toad. Vitality resistance. Hey, there we go. I think I saw somebody's build actually was using Empty Throne here. Chaos resistance, Pierce resistance, Aether resistance. Wow, that's the reason why. Empty Throne right here is the very last constellation point. That's the reason why. Because they're reduced stun duration. So I think I might actually end up going both. This is pretty ridiculous because it gives us these resistances, and those are going to be really important. So we'll take a look at Wolverine here. Pierce resistance plus defensive ability, pretty good. Huh. So I will say Wolverine looks fairly attractive. I'm just looking at the bonuses just straight up to pets, and it's pretty okay. I mean, it's got the 2 resistances. It's got these other, and the defensive ability, but these 2 are the weird ones. You got flat damage, and then you got percentage damage. Anyways, so we got 2 points. Man, I really want to go, I think, with Wolverine, but I think instead we'll go with the chair. There we go. Perfect. Love it. Yes. And then as far as our other skills go, let's do Entangling Vines. Let's get that 1 skill, just that 1 point into it. And then what should we do? I think it was level 8 or 9 that gave us another skeleton. I just really want them to do a whole bunch of damage. Really. I mean, I know we're going to max this out. Why don't we just do that? I would like to max out Will of the Crypt, absolutely. But I think just maxing out the base summon skeleton skill is better. I think just in general, maybe. And yes, I know I haven't been doing anything with my attribute points, which I should be. And partly the reason why is because gear, really. Like, I don't want to screw myself out of, like, a nice sweet piece of gear, but then again, I also don't want to, like, dump a whole bunch of skill or attribute points into its corresponding prerequisite, simply because I don't know what our endgame gear is going to look like. Since we're 100% self-found, I can't go off of, like, what people's recommendations for, you know, gear for this build goes. There's going to be whatever, I'm at the mercy of whatever I find. So with that being said, is that I don't want to have to, like, tailor-make my attribute points just for gear on the fly. But then again, it's going to have to be that way anyways. So I always want to have some attribute points available. Let's just go up to 400 physique. We'll leave the other 5 points. That's fine. This place is pretty big. It always feels big, but then I guess when you look at it on the map, it's not as large as you thought it was initially. It's just when you're in the thick of things, I suppose. So we got 2 bosses over here. See, there we go. That's why I have Ill Omen, by the way. all these damn zombies, they just appear, cast ill omen, they run around for a couple seconds, some of them go piss off, but the point is that they're just taking damage and I'm not. It's just damage mitigation, simple as that. Crowd control. Although I am getting into that point now where I'm gonna have to go onto Grim tools anyways, because I want to see the scaling on Ill Omen and see if it's even worth your time to pump up more skill points. And I'm working off the basic assumption here that the abandoned storefronts or storerooms are just an optional area, and it's going to yield some sort of special loot benefits or something. That's what my guess is, anyways. It's not always the case. If you played Diablo 3, first of all, I'm sorry, because Diablo 3 sucks balls. But anyways, in Diablo 3, you actually do go through a larder. You go through the pantry to get to the next area. In, I think, what? One of the latter acts. It's been a long time since I played that game. Yes, I have played through it. Yes, I have beaten it, and when, you know... I did it, like, a long time ago, though. I did it, like, pre any of the expansions. And I know that Blizzard's added a lot of stuff to the game. And there has been a time or two where, yes, I've come back and just peeked my head into the game just to see what it looked like. And before getting appalled, shaking my head and uninstalling it. It's kind of the way that goes. And one thing I don't like about Diablo 3 is it really has nothing to do with necessarily with Diablo 3 itself. It's really all of the other third-party shit, like game review sites and things. So let me just back it up and say that when it comes to me, when it comes to reviews and things, I really think that there should be 2 review scores for certain entries, for certain titles. Just the way it is. The reason why is because, let's just take the original Star Wars trilogy for an example, right? There are 3 movies, it's trilogy. Do you think, say, every movie should just be based upon its own merits as its own film, or should it be viewed as, you know, the greater context of the story itself, meaning how does it fit within the franchise? How does it fit within the other 2 stories? So if you got Empire Strikes Back, you know, how do the 2 other movies really work with this? I mean, how does, or excuse me, the other way around, how does Empire Strikes Back work with the greater context of the story itself? And I feel like it should receive a different review score based upon both. Based upon its own merits as a film, and then based upon just its placement and how does it stack up within the story itself. Does it actually add to the story? You know, is it basically one of those like really shitty sequels? And no, this is not an actual discussion about whether or not Empire Strikes Back is good or anything else. Of course it's good. That's fantastic. They're fucking classics. I'm just saying that when it comes to, you know, games within a franchise or sequels, prequels, when it comes to more games in a given franchise or canon, world, universe, or whatever else, I feel like they should be based upon, they should have a secondary review score that allows for how it stacks up compared to the other stuff that it's related to. And I feel like Diablo 3 should have received 2 scores. It should have been, first of all, how does the game score just based upon, you know, how it is as a video game itself, right? Am I going around in circles? But how does Diablo 3 compare to the rest of the franchise? And I feel like if you had both of those scores, boy, you'd see the disparity. And right away. Because let me tell you something, a lot of the gaming outlets out there that review Diablo 3 gave the game a pretty good review. I mean, I think pretty sure it scored like no less than an 8. I think on average it was probably like an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. Because that's generally what most places gave it. I know some places gave it a 9. I think there were a few examples, like extreme examples of organizations giving them 10s. Although, like I said, I think that was like really rare. And I will say, to the credit of a lot of these different outlets, that I agree with them. You know, the game is completely functional. I do feel that the auction house was total bullshit and should have received absolute valid criticism. Like, that absolutely should have been mentioned in every single fucking review, and it wasn't. Especially you, Game Informer. You people are terrible, by the way. It just... You don't want to know something? I want to see a Game Informer magazine when GameStop eventually goes out of business. I want to see if Game Informer can actually exist at that point. Can they exist on their own merits? But assuming that they can, I would really love to see their magazine without that, because I just feel like a lot of their reviews are because of GameStop. You know, to never like rock the boat, never like upset the status quo. So they're never going to give you any kind of like really objective. I mean, how do you really be objective about a review anyways? There's going to be a lot of subjectivity involved. Of course there is, even when you're trying to be 100% or as objective as possible, to be fair. But like, the point I'm trying to make though is that like Diablo 3 received a lot of really good scores. And I think the game was completely functional and it was an alright looking game. I thought it looked just like kind of like a generic AAA game to me personally, if I'm being very honest. But I feel like the game would have received just a different score had the reviewers like given it a score based upon where it sits with the rest of the franchise. Basically, how does Diablo 3 stack up against Diablo 2? How does Diablo 3 stack up against Diablo 1? The answer, it doesn't. The fucking game is shite. It's a total waste of your time and money. And nobody would be playing that goddamn game. There'd be very few people playing that goddamn game had all of the review sites worked under such a paradigm. It was about time I actually ranted about Diablo 3. I've been meaning to do this for such a long period of time. And I think I did mention it maybe once or twice, maybe, in my Diablo 2 stream. Once upon a time. Did we? I was gonna say, I don't think we were even over here, were we? It's just upsetting to me. I feel very strongly, if you couldn't tell. And the reason why is because Diablo 2, man. It was one of those games, like I said, number one favorite game of all time. Absolutely. I have no problem publicly saying that.